Hey everyone, my name is Timothy Duval. I'm a freelance videographer, and I am here today with a review of the Sunpak. Oh man, it's bright in here. Dear God. Sunpak. Sun. The Sunpak LED 392 light. God help me. So I started making a review for this. I'm sorry it's taken me so long to do it. The lights came in quite some time ago. I've just been very busy, and I was working on a different version of this review, but as I was going through the footage, the review was shaping up to be close to 20 minutes, and I don't even really have that kind of attention span, so I'm starting it over. I also switched rooms today to the room that I normally film Mario in, because I was just looking for a bit of a change of scenery today. But there's a lot of information to go over about this light, and I want to make a not 20-minute video, so let's get into it. Now, initially, when I tried to order this light, I was not able to check out due to a Jewish holiday. B&H is a Jewish-owned company. You're going to run into this here and there when you try to order things. There's a lot of different Jewish holidays that the typical layman, such as myself, are not going to know about. So if you're looking to order from B&H, just keep that in mind. So if we take a look at the packaging, we have the light, a little torch handle next to it you can use to hand hold it, a battery, a charger, a hot shoe mount, and the instructions. Also, one of the first things that I did was I took my label embosser here that you can get on Amazon for about 10 bucks, comes with 3 rolls of tape, and I actually labeled the lights in each part just to kind of remember which one goes to which kit. That way, in case something breaks down, I kind of know which light it's supposed to go with. And I just slapped some 1s and 2s on the pieces. Opening the light barn doors, there's a little thin blue film to peel off. And outside of charging the batteries fully for the first time, that's about all the prep work you need to get started with these things. Now, I actually really like this packaging, and I will say that if you're not bringing a whole ton of gear to the set, you could probably just keep them in these boxes. They even have a little carry handle on them. Honestly, there's no reason to not keep the packaging. Now, I made a mistake when I first tested these batteries. When you plug in the charger, a red light comes on when you're charging the batteries, but there's nothing to tell you whether or not that color changes when they fully charge. It does. It turns green when it's fully charged, but I wasn't sure if it was just going to stay red. But yes, it turns green when it's fully charged, and these batteries do take a very long time to charge, especially from a state of full depletion. We will get into that. So for my first test, I took my Canon 60D with the kit lens, 18 to 135 millimeters, with an aperture of 3.5 to 5.6, depending on your focal length, and a Canon 6D with aperture 1.4, 50 millimeter, classic, I know. For part of this test, I should have had a roommate come in and pull focus for me, because when I step in front of the camera, these cameras don't have autofocus, so I am not entirely in focus on all the shots, and I apologize for that. So my first test was really just for appearance and aesthetics, and honestly, it looks pretty good. We're still in the small room that I'm filming in right now, and it does a pretty good job of lighting things, but there's not enough room really between Mario and the back wall to prevent harsh shadowing. I'll run a final test later tonight to take a look at how these lights look in the dark, because honestly, when I look at these lights and the hot shoe mounting, these lights really feel like they're designed, honestly, for something akin to a news crew at night. I don't find myself fully satisfied with the image when I'm zoomed in all the way with the 18 to 135 at 5.6 slapped on a 60D. I can kind of see the image coming apart a little bit, but in certain situations it's not necessarily unusable. Obviously the 6D with a 51.4 slapped on the front of it is going to be better. But in a setting like this, I would actually recommend the kind of lights that I reviewed previously. Just a 3-point kit in a small room like this is going to do you so much better than something like this. Doesn't mean I think these are bad though. Eventually, I stepped in front of the camera, and that's when we have the focus issues I was referring to a moment ago. But eventually, I grabbed my Tamron 70 to 200 2.8 lens and slapped it onto my C100, and I stepped in front of the camera, zoomed out as much as I could in this tiny room, so it's really in on my face. But I actually had to adjust the internal ND filter on my C100, and I had to add 4 stops for my face to be alright. So these lights are pretty dang bright. The next thing I wanted to do was run some tests on the longevity of the battery's life in these lights. This is where things got a little wild. Thank you, Mario. You're dismissed. The battery longevity tests, like I said, they get pretty wild, so here's what happened. The first time I tried to do a battery longevity test, I still failed to charge the batteries all the way.
Whoops.
Now, the lowest setting on these lights when it comes to intensity is 10. The highest is 99. So for the first test, when I did not charge the batteries all the way, I put one at 10 and I put one at 99. The one I put at 10, the lowest setting, it lasted 7 hours. The one that I put on 99 lasted 25 minutes. That is a absolutely massive difference. Mystified by this, I went into a second test, and it was just a complete flop. The one light went out right away, the other one didn't even turn on. So I needed to charge batteries again. For my third test, I charged the batteries for about 7 to 8 hours, and I still had not charged them all the way and did not know this at the time.
Whoops.
I put one on full blast up to 99 and it turned off after 40 minutes, and I put one at 50% and it turned off after about 1 hour and 15 minutes. At this point, I figured out that I had not been charging the batteries fully the entire time, and I tried again. On a final test, I put the batteries in, I put one light at 50%, and I put one light at 10%. The light at 50% lasted 2 hours and 1 minute, and the light at 10% lasted 10 hours and 47 minutes. So a full charge obviously makes a colossal difference, but here's where it gets funky. None of this sounds funky, but it's about to get funky. When the light is on full blast and it shuts off, it does not mean the battery is dead. When the light is hot and shut off, I wasn't sure if it was the light or the battery, so I took the battery out of the light that was too hot and I put it in the other light, and it turned on just fine. So it tells me there might be some kind of a failsafe mechanism in there. I'm not sure. And then the final test I wanted to run was seeing how long the batteries take to charge from depletion to 100% charge. It's a long, long time. Get some sleep. One of the batteries took 12 hours and 17 minutes. The other battery took 12 hours and 8 minutes. Other thing I noticed is that when you plug a battery into the back of this light, a number will flash at you. Numbers I've seen are 5, 25, 50, 75, and 99. This is supposed to represent how much charge is in the battery, but I don't totally trust this indicator. I did not have to charge the batteries for very long for this thing to start flashing 99s at me. And the reason I don't really trust that is because a full charge takes half a day. Alright, back in my domain, and the night test has been conducted. My roommate and I went outside with the camera and a light and probably had way too much fun.
It's not bad.
He just kind of started walking around me with the camera, so I just decided I had to play into it, I guess. I think my eyes kind of look in different directions, so, you know, that's a boost to my self-confidence. We took some shots at various intensities with both the warm and the cold lighting. I had to kind of readjust my brain when looking at this light, because on all of my cameras, something like 3200, because these lights, you can have the lights between 3200 and 5600K for color temperature. On any camera, 3200 is cool, 5600 is warm. Well, on these lights, 3200 is warm and 56 is cool. So just kind of tweak your brain a little bit to wrap your head around that and carry on. That being said, we put the lights on the coldest and the warmest settings to get some shots at various intensities. So here we got some shots at 10, the lowest intensity, and immediately you see a big difference right when we jump up to 25. So from 25, we'll take it to 50, and from 50, we'll take it to 75, and from 75, we'll take it to full blast. Now, over the course of this test, I actually got too bright, and we had to throw the internal ND filter on. Me personally, if I worked on a news crew, I'd probably keep the light somewhere at around, probably between 10 and 25, and keep a spare light in my equipment bag just in case. Another little thing I just want to note on these is that they do have a built-in diffuser that you can pull out of the frame. It does not really make much of a difference in the environment that I tested it in. Now on these lights there is also a spot for some AC power. I don't really have a good adapter for this. The only one I have actually caused a little bit of sparking, the light turned on, and I couldn't change any of its settings. And I'm probably not really going to use AC power on these lights too often to begin with. So where do I stand on these lights in total? That's a great question. Going from one site to another and looking at these lights, getting them for $30 each when they were on sale at B&H was actually a really fantastic deal. The batteries that come with these lights are apparently the industry standard battery for operating lights like these on a set, so obviously great to have. And if you buy these batteries on their own, there are batteries that have half of a holding capacity that are more than these lights were by themselves. Here's what I would say about these lights. I would say do not use them for long interviews. I would say if you're going to go outside and use these, buy two. Because if one of them goes out on you when you have to have the light at a higher intensity setting, you're going to need another one to swap on there. Now I'm very cheap, so I'm obviously glad that I got these things for 30 bucks and not 80 or 100. Looking at other websites, that's about what they seem to go for is 80 to 100 bucks. Wayfair, for some godforsaken reason, called this thing a lawn ornament. Completely mystified by that. I have no idea why. I didn't even know Wayfair sold video camera equipment. Overall, do I recommend these? Oh man. I do, but with a condition. My condition is to get them on sale. I do not find myself believing I think these lights are worth $80 or $90. How much would I personally pay for something like this? I'm glad I got them on sale for 30, but personally, I could see it being worth about 50 to me. But if I paid 50 bucks, I probably would have only bought one. But I really think if you're going to buy one of these lights, I think you should buy two. If they were on sale again for 30 bucks, I actually would buy one more. But if you see yourself using these in a tiny room, you're going to want three so that you can use a third light to eliminate harsh shadows. So I gotta run to my room real quick and go grab the thing I want to talk about in my next video here. But I want to switch focus a little bit to focus. I was not planning on a pun, but here we are. And I would like to discuss quite possibly the most primitive method of pulling focus I've ever seen or utilized in my life, and if it has its uses or if it is useless. That'll be fun.